Buddy, and welcome to another Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is an amazing way for you to exit highly appreciated businesses, cryptocurrency, real estate, so you can defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax, eliminate the estate tax, and help create and preserve more wealth for yourself, your friends, family, or clients. For those who know me, my name is Brett Swartz, and I'm founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions. In every single episode, we're bringing on some of the best business, wealth, real estate minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. We're also streaming on expert CRE seekers as well. So we appreciate all the listeners and viewers on YouTube checking us out there. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of Kansas, and he has over 38 years as a business coach. In fact, he's coached over 1,800 businesses, and he became a business broker in 2014 with Empire Business Brokers, and has been the leading broker for numerous years, closing $5+ million deals. He founded, along with one of his business partners, Nick, the Empowered Business Brokers. He also founded the premier advisor group of companies with a purpose and passion to be a catalyst for the success of business owners. He has nearly 40 years of business coaching experience, business brokers experience, and so much more. Oh, in fact, in the past 15 years, he was awarded the Global Coach of the Year three times, maybe in a row here, or 3 times, and the America's Coach of the Year 6 times. And in 2013, he was inducted into the Action Coach Business Coaching Hall of Fame. I know that's a lot, folks, because this guest is amazing. Please welcome to me, Earl Kemper. Earl, how are you doing?
Doing great, Brett. Thanks so much for having me. I was really excited to join you today. You've got a fine organization.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to interview you and get to know you more too. Earl, we got a chance to meet at the EXP conference. Amazing opportunity to connect and network, and now we get to hang out on this podcast and give a chance for people to meet you and everything you're doing for business owners who are exiting and so much more. By the way, we're talking about maximizing business values and wealth. In particular, we're going to be diving into exiting and how to do all of those things. And Earl's going to, in a sense, coach us and help us here. Okay. And so that being said, Earl, before we go there though, could you tell us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah. So for years previously, I had been a financial advisor, been in the insurance industry, and was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be coached when I was in that world. I liked what was happening so well, I decided to become a coach myself. I feel like my business coach inspired me and empowered me towards success. I had about 22 guys working for me, and I was a bit of a workaholic, and we grew our organization to over 700 people. And that was as a result of being coached. So I said, one of the best things I could do to make a difference in the world was to become a business coach myself. And so I did almost 40 years ago.
Amazing. And Earl, I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given us to be a blessing and help to others. What would you say is the one gift or 2 gifts or strengths that you've been given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
So I think one of the major ways I help people is I ask the right questions. I always say there's more wisdom in asking questions than having the answers. And so my approach has always been to put myself in my client's shoes by asking them a number of questions so that I can truly understand what they need and help them to get what they want. And in doing so, then I'm getting very clear on how I best help my clients. Over a period of time of then growing businesses, we found that, they needed an exit strategy. So about 14 years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet Nick Guluza, and he was my partner now in the Empowered Business Brokers. He has 42 years of experience in business brokerage. As a result of that, we brought 71 business brokers to our organization. So we have 71 brokers nationwide and 14 internationally as well. And so between business coaching, when businesses want to reach their potential and when they want to maximize their wealth, we then are able to find buyers for them or help them to buy additional businesses and expand. So I think what I do well is ask questions and negotiate deals.
Fantastic. And that leads right into the topic at hand, which is maximizing business values and wealth. And if you want to learn more about Earl Kemper right now, you can go to empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. That's empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. So, Earl, what's the number one secret to maximizing business values and maximizing your wealth?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is you have to continually to learn to earn. So we get people on a very focused learning process. Your learning impacts your beliefs. Your beliefs impact the questions you ask. So when I was working with a business that was doing $5 million in 2008, one of the things I asked them is, how fast would you like to grow? And they said, well, if I could grow 10 to 20%, I would be pretty happy with that. I said, if you could double your business in 3 years or less, would you want to go after it? So I had to get them to change their beliefs about what was possible. By the way, in about 40 months, they grew from 5 million to 50 million of revenue because they changed their beliefs. We taught them how to learn. When you learn how to be a person that is focused on self-improvement, self-development, it works on your beliefs. Your beliefs impact your questions impact the decisions you make, and the decisions you make impact the actions you take and accomplish the results you want. So I think that one of the key issues is getting people to learn to get past their limited beliefs in what they can accomplish. There is so much more potential in them many times than they realize. And so the second part of it is you must hold people accountable to whatever they commit to. So if they're committed to making the changes necessary to grow, we help them get committed to those changes. And then the second thing they have to be able to do is be willing to be held accountable to those commitments to change. Nothing will get better without change. And so we really focus on the accountability towards those changes, Brett.
Okay, absolutely amazing. I'm going to try to break down this as succinctly as I can. So, number one secret to maximizing business values and wealth is continuing to learn. And if you learn, you can earn. By learning, your learning impacts beliefs. Beliefs impact the questions that you ask. And as well as you're learning and you're growing as a leader, you're developing, that's also going to help you to ask better questions and focus. And then these questions impact the decisions you actually make. The quality of the questions will impact the quality of the decisions you make. And then those decisions will impact the outcome. Is that a fair summary so far before we go into accountability?
Yeah. And then the key is, of course, you have to be committed to the actions that you've decided. People get caught up in procrastination. People get caught up in doubt. One of the things I talk to people about is, in any given situation, you can move towards either gratitude or lack of gratitude. If you head towards lack of gratitude, it'll lead to doubt, it'll lead to fear, it'll lead to pessimism, and people either want to quit or procrastinate for long periods of time. On the other hand, if you begin everything that happens in your life as you see it with a state of gratitude, gratitude brings about belief, belief brings faith, faith brings optimism, and optimism will bring perseverance. The key component is believing in that which you cannot see negatively is fear. Believing in that which you cannot see positively is faith. And gratitude brings about faith. Lack of gratitude brings about fear.
We're talking with Earl Kemper. Hopefully you're going to rewind that and listen to that a couple times and watch it a couple times. You can learn more about Earl Kemper by going to empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. If you're wondering how Kemper is spelled, it's Kemper. Okay, so we've got to break that down now. So, yeah, I also have a thought too, Earl, on this. So I think when we act, when we take positive directions towards wise decisions with faith that builds our confidence, that builds our belief in ourselves, and it also helps us to make that impact, right? We enlarge as leaders, right? But the opposite, like you just said, like if we don't take that action, right, we either or take decisions that are not wise, right? We lose confidence, right? We're in doubt, we're in fear, we're anxious, we're just stuck in that, let's just say procrastination mode, right? And so that's in direct correlation to the wise decisions with faith that are positive decisions, like you said, versus the negative. But I like the way you broke it down with gratitude, because I think that's so key, right? Like what's behind all of that? Well, it's the gratitude. It's the state in which we're in with our emotions, with our minds, with our hearts. And if we're in a state of gratitude, guess what? We're more likely to go out into the belief, faith, optimism, perseverance versus a state of not being grateful, right? Of doubt, fear, and procrastination. Is that a fair summary? Or anything else to add on that, Earl?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And what I mean by that is, just to keep it real simple, we have the ability to choose how we respond to anything. So whatever happens in our lives, a death in the family, a tremendous catastrophe of any kind, you can still move your heart and your mind to gratitude. But the moment you move to lack of gratitude through a negative circumstance or event, it will head you into a very dark place, which is why you end up in doubt and fear and pessimism, and ultimately quitting or procrastinating. So in essence, what I'm referring to is how you respond is everything in your life. And as a coach, I help clients to respond with gratitude and learn how to do that.
Okay, so let's break that down. In fact, you may have touched on that a little bit here. You said about accountability. You must hold people accountable, right? And then the number 3 is they must be willing to be accountable. But you said something very, very key: committed or accountable to the actions that they decided, right?
That's
So
right.
it's not say I'm gonna hold you accountable to what I want for you. You've listened really well. You've asked great questions. You've already grown as a leader, and you've expanded and you're grateful for all of those things. You're in the right state, if you will, right? And now you're uncovering their needs, their challenges, and you're truly understanding what's behind all of that, so that you can start to perhaps ask them other questions that they're going to discover that the actions they should be taking. And then at that point, maybe you're going to ask the question, are you willing to be committed to taking these actions? Is that a fair summary so far, Earl?
That's right. Yep, that's 100% right.
Take us from there. And then what happens?
So once you have people willing to be held accountable, then you have to help them to get clarity. So the key to success in business is to have clarity, because clarity brings about power, and power brings about focus. And I always say focus is an acronym: follow optimal course until successful. So when you have clarity, you can move with power into focus, doing the right things right, in the right way, at the right time. So we start to focus then on connecting people's energy, their efficiency, and excellence in everything they do. So energy to me is you're connecting passion with purpose. Efficiency is the right people doing the right things right. And excellence is the practice of proven principles. With those 3 things in place, you can empower yourself, empower others, and be empowered.
Okay, I'm silent because I'm taking so much notes here. And again, everyone do yourself a favor, rewind that by 30, 60 seconds there and listen to that. But I'm going to try my best here. Okay, everybody, here we go. All right, so the key here now, once they've clearly stated that they are willing to be accountable to the actions, is to now help them get clarity, because clarity brings about power, and then power helps to bring about focus. And then when you have that focus, you can do the right things in the right way at the right time. And that's what leads to efficiency, right? Efficiency. As well, it leads to, I guess in combination of this, it's not practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect, right? Because excellence would be the practice of proven principles. And now we're moving in momentum. Is that a fair summary, Earl?
Yeah, yeah. And the key again, too, is energy. People have to connect their passion with purpose. You've got to be in a mindset all the time where you're connecting your passion with your purpose.
Okay, so what is the question to help I guess get clarity for any of us right now, right? What would be our couple questions? Of course, it'd be supposed to be dependent upon what I've probably you've even covered through the the initial consultation or intake, if you will,
Yeah.
and then what would be the key to helping people then connect the passion with the purpose?
Yeah, so clarity comes about when you have a understanding of what freedom, finances, and fulfillment means to you. So when we talk about freedom, how many hours a year are you actually going to work? How many weeks are you going to take off? How many days a week are you actually going to work during the weeks that you are working? So that you have clarity of what your day, your week, your month, your quarter, your year, and the years to come are going to look like. Once you know that, it's important to recognize that you might have to have a certain amount of financial perspective in your life to have that level of freedom. So the goal might be to work less and make more. That's real general. On a focused of where you are now versus a 10 in freedom, where are we? In regard to where you are now and a 10 in finances, where are we? And then fulfillment, that which again drives that passion and purpose, what fulfills you? It may be some type of a charitable perspective in your life that might fulfill you. It might be related to family. It might be related to nonprofit organizations or other types of organizations that you have a passion for. But freedom, finances, and fulfillment gives you that clarity.
Okay. Wow. And so you can learn more about Earl Kemper by going to empoweredbusinessbrokers.com, empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. I like the way you put these three, right? Because I think sometimes it's, if I just had enough finances, I'd have the freedom, right?
Yeah.
If I just had financial freedom by being out of debt and having, my cash flow replace my active income, if I just had, more time, right? More time. And so I like that you connect the clarity. This is what helps you to have the clarity, is being clear on these three areas. And I think that freedom is really, I think I'm hearing it, it's freedom of time, or not even just freedom of time, but clarity on what you're choosing to spend your time on. It's almost like just budgeting your time. Okay, for this whole year, this is my ideal. I'm out of work, I'm out of travel, I'm out of leisure, and it's scheduled, right? I mean, I'm having to practice this, and I love it because I feel like it gives me freedom, right? I'm scheduling my time. In fact, I'm giving it to my wife, and I'm going, here, you have the keys to my schedule. Go ahead and just plan it all out and block out the calendar, right? But even at the same time, I'm still practicing, like, okay, then you travel and then the work piles up, and then, blocking. So all that is something I'm still learning and working through. But the point is, you're clarifying that, and then you're clarifying the finances part, right? Which could give you more of this front one. And then you're connecting with the fulfillment. Anything else to add there? Did I do a pretty good job, Earl?
Yeah, I think, again, we begin with the end in mind. If we know where we're supposed to be in our state of freedom, in our state of finances, and in our state of fulfillment, now we have to be focused on visualization and verbalization as if it's already happened. So essentially, we're going to be focused on the idea that we have that level of freedom in the present tense. I am working 1,000 hours a year. I am taking 8 weeks off. I am traveling to these 4 locations in this 8 weeks. I am generating $1 million a year net income, and I am building a net worth of $20 million. And I am fulfilled because I'm making a difference in 2 nonprofit organizations because I have family members that were tremendously impacted in a negative way by this health issue and this particular hunger issue or whatever that I'm covering in my life. So I'm fulfilled. I have freedom. I have finances. You want that level of clarity because it drives you to do what you need to do to get there. And you have to visualize it as if it's already happened.
Okay. Yes. Makes sense. And so now someone comes to Earl and be like, Earl, that all makes perfect sense. I want all of that. Practically speaking, what actions can they take to hire someone like an Earl Kemper, right?
Yeah.
To be coached, to maximize the business values and wealth. And wealth, obviously, if we're talking about here, it's not just finances; it's entire wealth of everything that we're us as human beings. So this is so good, Earl. So talks about next steps here to take action.
Yeah, so on our empoweredbusinessbrokers.com, we have a Calendly connection with me, and I also have 4 other backup people in the event that I'm not readily available at that moment. So we will respond very quickly to any kind of a situation. We schedule typically 30 minutes because we believe, this is our mantra, we believe you can turn any challenge into an opportunity. And so we spend 30 minutes identifying the challenge that will then turn into an opportunity. We then schedule a 2-hour, typically complimentary coaching session to help people to understand what we may be able to do to help them. And we have coaching programs anywhere from 18,000 a year to 180,000 a year, depending upon the need of the client, the size of the business, and the work that's needing to be done.
Absolutely. Earl Kemper, empoweredbusinessbrokers.com, empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. If you are a business owner, if you are a leader, if you're looking to maximize your business value and your wealth, it starts with leadership and coaching. Start there. Go with Earl. Amazing, Earl. Earl, anything I didn't ask you that I maybe should have asked you? You want to add before we shift into some exit planning and some business, talking some capital gains tax and some exit planning stuff?
Yeah, I mean, in general, we provide business coaching, business valuation, franchise development, virtual CFO. We have interactive business planning. We do exit planning, succession planning. We have access to loans, and we work with people like you on capital gains reduction strategies. We also are very focused on strategically partnering with people regarding private equity, impact funds, and titles and loans. So we try to be a one-stop shop, not on our own, but with our partners in everything that we do, Brett. And that's why it's been such a pleasure to meet you guys. We've worked with some other folks, but I really like what I see and how you do things.
Fantastic, Earl. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to helping a lot of people together, making an impact. So let's shift into capital gains tax, and some of the challenges when it comes to selling these highly appreciated assets. And so, Earl, there's kind of 2 topics here. There's capital gains tax deferral and there's estate tax. Yep. And so let's imagine someone is selling a 17, a 25, $100 million business, right? And they're showing up and like, Earl, here's the big challenge. I've got a huge company. I've got no basis left. I'm going to sell it. Would you help me sell it? What would you say the biggest frustrations when you're talking about that massive amount of wealth, that massive amount of, say complexities maybe with family and different things and all the moving parts that go along with amassing all of that wealth that you face as it comes to capital gains tax exit planning?
Our typical average deal that we do from our point of view is about $17 million. Now, that's not all our brokers. That's what I do in our organization. But when we're working with a business and they have that type of a financial gain that they're going to receive. Remember what we talk about in the finances, freedom, finances, fulfillment. It can be virtually impossible for them to achieve their goal without considering all of the tax ramifications and how to offset those taxes along the way. So one of the key components is if we're going to have a 20 to 30, and we could get into exact percentages, but just simply 20 to 30% tax on, call it $20 million, that's $6 million they don't have the ability to reinvest in real estate or reinvest in another business or provide an income from. And that's why, to me, it is a no-brainer when the size of the deals, 5 million, maybe even 3 million and up, that you start really thinking about what can we do to reduce this capital gain burden that comes about. Because when there's virtually no basis, we got a lot of tax potentially. And so if you think properly about this, it just increases your wealth by 30% immediately, but it also increases your wealth over time by that 30% growing over some period of time as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And I want to dive a little bit deeper on this one because I feel like this one gets missed even by some of the most sophisticated, smart business folks who are out there selling their business. In fact, we were helping a client or a potential client evaluate a $40 million business exit. He and his wife own the business. They're, the late 40s, and they're like wanting to build a lot more wealth, but they're exiting this big part of it. And their understanding was, I just can get a stepped up basis, right? I might do this to do the 1031 exchange. And this was a business which doesn't even qualify for a 1031. But in their mind, they were just thinking stepped up basis. But number two, we talked about estate tax, right? Yeah, which is that elephant in the room, Earl, right? Which most, a lot of, we can't forget this, but take it for granted. But if I have a $100 million business and I die tomorrow, or $100 million of real estate and die tomorrow, yes, I get a stepped up basis on the 100 million, but I have an estate tax issue, right? Which is 40% above and beyond the exemptions. And the exemptions are going to set to be basically 10 million is what we anticipate by 2026. They're going to cut back down on a married couple, 5 million per on a single person. So, talk about just the massive amount of opportunity and or pain that a lot of people are going to face with this 84 trillion estimated transfer in the next 20 years if they don't have a clear plan for the estate tax.
Yeah, and just in general, when you build a significant amount of wealth in entities or in real estate, at some point in time, someone is going to be in a position where they're going to have to pay taxes on that at death without proper planning. And even in that, the tax bill may be there, but you got to make sure the tax bill is funded, or a percentage, as you said, if we have 100 million, we're looking at close to $50 million of that estate gone without doing any planning at all. And even if you do some basic planning, you're going to be at 40%. That's catastrophic to a family. I always say there's blood, sweat, and tears that have been put in for many, many years. And now the family just lets it go to the government without any kind of planning. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And it becomes a part where it's stewardship, right? Not being a great steward or not being willing to be coached and or to do the planning or all of the things. And that's part of why we're here, by the way, here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. We also have estate tax solutions as well. And we wrote a book called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. And our goal is to give you clarity on your options and also solutions to those big challenges using what's called the deferred sales trust as our niche focus. It's not the only end all be all, but we found it's the most flexible, durably tested with legal track record, and the ability to solve the problem, which is eliminating that estate tax and the deferring that capital gains tax while still being able to be an entrepreneur or be retired, be passive or active, have liquid investments, not to have to be in debt. Earl, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the deferred sales trust based upon what you've learned over the years?
Yeah, so I believe it's a great tool to use to also buy businesses and or real estate once it's in place, because now you can start to build your wealth inside the DST in such a way that you still are familiar with the skill set that you have, which is growing businesses or building real estate portfolios. It doesn't have to be liquidated, but it can be liquidated in the sense of an investment with income returns. It could be, though, it's real estate or business returns. And, a lot of people like to be able to still do those things once they've done some level of a transaction. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits of it.
I couldn't agree with you more, right? I mean, to me, if it wasn't for that benefit or that feature, I would not be here. I would not be, selling the deferred sales trust, right? Being the trustee for it, because the ability to have the option to, because no one cares more about your wealth than you, right? To go back into investments alongside of the trust, tax deferred, kind of like a self-directed IRA, right? A self-directed 401k, but and not have to do that, but you can, right? And or with partners. It's just so flexible to be able to diversify and build that wealth. And not only the other part of it too, it's nice. It's not just a tax deferral strategy or eliminate the estate tax. You can actually build wealth with it. And we think it's the foundational way to build wealth once you exit, because you can have second promissory notes after the trust is formed by partnering with the trust and buying more assets and having those grow in wealth. But hopefully you're doing that at optimal timing. You're buying when the deals make sense. I mean, we've seen cap rates stay. I mean, they're starting to adjust some here, right? As sellers realize that they need to sell, right? But debt has exceeded cap rates. It's a negative arbitrage still. And so if you're in a 1031, you're going, why am I trading and going into a negative situation unless you have a huge value add? But again, if you're in business, you're selling a business or cryptocurrency or stock, there's no 1031 option. And so the deferred sales trust becomes that option for that. Any thoughts on that, Earl?
Well, I think the other thing that I think about just related to that is timing. You want to be in a position to where you don't have to do things immediately. 1031 exchange gives you a certain time frame, and if you don't do what you need to do in the time frame, you're kind of screwed. Whereas you do this and you get it in place, and you've got a lifetime ahead of you of being able to do certain kinds of business or real estate transactions. Also feel like, where it's appropriate and needed to deal with some of the major estate planning, you can do some insurance, irrevocable life insurance planning and things with it. That's pretty cool. So,
100%.
Some keys for me and what I've seen in planning.
Yeah, absolutely, Earl. And by the way, if you want to learn more about this, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can also check out the new book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. We have like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book. I have a couple chapters as well and a couple other amazing professionals in the book. And if we have come with the second book, Earl's definitely going to be a part of it. If you'd like to be a part of it, I'd love to have him in the book. And so you can learn all about the proven playbook for how to really exit any asset of any kind, defer the tax using the deferred sales trust, eliminate the state tax using the DST 2.0. Check out the book on Amazon. Earl, that being said, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, sir.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
What I tell myself to do is to get into business faster.
Excellent. Question number 2, what's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Think and Grow Rich. I've read it 38 times.
38 times. Amazing. And by the way, I just got it again. And I have a copy that I'm starting to read again. So that's fantastic. Question number 3, what are you most curious about right now?
What I'm most curious about is how people will respond to challenge. Everything that we go through that's a challenge, it's not about whether we're going to go through challenges in life, it's how we respond.
Excellent. Next question. What's the number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
My number one quote is, business is a tool that enables you to live the life you desire. Business is not life. And that's my quote.
Fantastic. I love that. It's a great quote. Next question. what's the number one AI tool that you are using, and that could help someone today who might be considering, AI?
Well, I'm using several tools. I'm not sure that I could tell you any one. I mean, everybody knows Chat GPT PT4 and everything associated with it, but I mean, we have an organization we're working with called Air, and they gave us 5 AI tools as part of a program that I joined. And so we've got everything you can imagine. But what's kind of cool is some of the ability to utilize your voice and sound just like you are. And in some cases, even the videos are starting to become just like you are. And it's both fun and a little scary.
Yeah, I wonder if people are wondering if this is really the real Earl Kemper and the real Brett Swartz talking, or if it's just AI creating this, right?
Yeah, but I can assure you it is today.
It is. This is the real deal, everybody. Next question, or second to last question. The one big domino, Earl, right? What's the one big domino if you could accomplish by the end of the year would make the biggest impact for your organization, your clients moving forward?
I think the biggest impact we're trying to make is real estate agents are having a challenge at EXP in generating the revenue they have in the past. So we provided to them a 20% referral on all of our services for the life of a client. So if we can get, several of those couple of hundred people take advantage of that service, then they'll be able to bridge the gap with the income from coaching services, valuation, business planning, exit planning, etc., in such a way that, maybe they'll be able to help themselves financially. People are not accomplishing the same amount of transactions or dollar value transactions as previous year. So we really want to help them to have a fantastic year, and we're working on that right now.
Fantastic. And last question is this, Earl. After all the people you've helped, building the wealth, building the businesses, building the lives, right? Being able to coach and pour into people to get those freedoms. What would you say is the single best practice habit that you've implemented in your life to stay centered in your personal values and stay encouraged to charge forward to reach even higher heights?
Yeah, so I spend 20 minutes every morning brain dumping and brainstorming. And it enables me to think through things that I need to get out of my head so I can stay very focused on the work at hand every day. The other thing it does is it enables me to create a lot of acronyms. I jokingly say, I'm probably semi-joking, I have about 497 acronyms I use of my own and others. And so I really believe that it gives me the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to help others to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And I imagine you got a lot of that from the Think and Grow Rich book and those practices. Is that a fair summary, Earl?
Fair summary, yep.
Excellent. Well, Earl, it's been more than a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I am so happy that we were able to meet in person. I'm so happy you're part of the EXP family. For those who don't know, I'm also a commercial real estate broker. I'm with EXP Commercial. Absolutely love EXP and everything they're doing. So huge proponent of the entrepreneurial spirit, bringing people together. And Earl is a great example of this, that we met together at the EXP conference in Las Vegas and had a chance to connect. And now we're here. And hopefully you're getting all of this wisdom here, partly due to thanking EXP for connecting us. So thank you, EXP. I'm going to encourage you, Earl, to keep using the gifts of asking the right questions, putting yourself in the client's shoes, and uncovering what each person really needs or wants, and then being able to help them, guide them to the next step of freedom. Thank you so much for your wisdom. For our listeners who want to connect with you one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
The empoweredbusinessbrokers.com. And, if you've got something you really want to do something together and get on it, I would say text me at 785-414-0237.
Amazing. Thank you, Earl. Thank you. And I also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets as well on YouTube and the podcast there, Apple, Spotify, all the places that you're checking us out right now. And I want to encourage you to take action, right? You've got a lot of inspiration now. You've got a lot of opportunity. What's that next big step that you can take, whether it be coaching, business valuation, clarifying your freedom, your finances, your fulfillment, clarifying your capital gains tax exit plan, your estate tax exit plan. There's a lot that we covered today. So maybe go back and listen again, and then take great notes for action steps that you can take. We want to make this very applicable for you who are listening. So thank you so much. And if you need help exiting, we'd love the opportunity to guide you through an exit plan, to build an exit plan. You can start with the book on Amazon, but you can also just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com and schedule a one-on-one consultation with myself or one of my team members, and we will help you to build a capital gains tax and estate tax exit plan. Thank you so much. We will talk to everyone again real soon.